So welcome to Coffee with Jim, and the subject today is how do I make amends? And how do I make amends to somebody who's died or somebody I don't want to see? Well, first of all, you got to remember that amends is about you. It's not about them. So many times people have made amends to people and that person doesn't even know what the hell they're talking about. Sometimes they do. Depends on a particular situation. But it's pretty simple to make amends to somebody who's passed, someone who died. Now, the way to do that, and we teach you that here, is you write them a letter of amends, and you don't put a stamp on it, and you put an address, and you put it in a post office box. And where does it go? It goes to the dead mail file. You got no return address on it? There, you made your amends. It might have ended up in that person's hands through some miracle or some relative, or who knows. That's the way to make amends to people who have passed. And changing your life is a way of making amends. Even though you don't know you're making amends to a particular person, when you change your way of life and help other people, you're making amends. Because the only thing you can do is make amends to the universe. So if you live a better life and be more honest with people and do your best to help who you can, that's enough for amends. You can beat yourself to death. Amends are pretty brutal. When we start working on thinking about what we did and who we affected, and we affected everybody. But you have to remember that person that affected them was an active alcoholic or drug addict. That's not who you are today. That's not an excuse that you can get out of what you did, you can justify it by drinking. You can't justify it by that. But you can accept that that's where I was at that point. Now, if you can directly meet somebody and make an amends, that's the best way to do it because it's right off your chest. But don't go in there and say, well, Fred, I'm sorry I run into your truck, but if you hadn't parked it there, I wouldn't have been able to hit it. And that's what happens so often when people make amends. We automatically justify why we did whatever the hell we did. And that's not an amends. Now, you could go in there and say, Fred, I'm sorry about wrecking your truck. How can I make it up to you? That's it. And then shut up and let him decide. And Fred's probably going to say, oh, well, Jim, I know you were drunk or whatever, and say, oh, my insurance company paid it or whatever. Fred isn't carrying this around. You are. So think about that when you go to make an amends. Don't try to justify it. Because there is no justification. If you think you owe an amends, there absolutely is no justification. The only time that I find amends is really different is when people had problems when they were kids. They would say I was 7 when my dad died. I carried that till I come into Alcoholics Anonymous. Not that I blame myself for killing him or anything like that. It's just that I had so many mixed emotions about it. Why did he die? I was resentful to him, to God, to a lot of people because of his passing. Well, later on, somebody had taught me to, project yourself in the corner of the room and watch this scene down there. You see this 7-year-old boy, you see this gravesite with this 45-year-old man who's dead. How is that the boy's fault? And of course it isn't. And so if you can get out of yourself and go up in the corner room and watch the scene, whatever it is, you punch somebody or somebody punched you, whatever it is, and you can look at it and say, what part did I have in that? And if the answer is none, then you'll be able to say, okay, I can let that go. I don't owe an amends there. The only amends I might is carrying it on myself for so many years. And the amends should be to myself. And if all you got to do is say, sorry, Jim, let's move on. So anyhow, have a great day. That's enough preaching out of me. Take care.